morning. It is the 20th of March. You know what is exciting me today? The fact that today is spring. Yesterday was the last day of winter. The sun is out, and I have so much energy to share with you guys today. I am so excited about this day today. I'm excited to be breathing. I'm excited to be here on earth. I'm excited to share because when I do this Sales Hustle Club call, I want you guys to know I'm not trying to drop knowledge. I'm trying to get my own knowledge. I'm trying to learn too. I am a student in this whole exercise. I go in the session with you today to learn. I spend some time gathering some information, some intel, things that I've learned, documenting. I consume a lot of stuff to be able to do this with you guys. And I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something that we're working on undercover. It is in the box, in the closet, and it's not out yet. It's not ready. It's still in the closet. It's being molded and shaped into something special. And that is the Sales Hustle Challenge. You know, when I say the word sales hustle, the word hustle could have a negative connotation. But I want you guys to know why I am doing this call, why it's called Sales Hustle. The reason it is Sales Hustle, it is a mode that you are in when you want to perform at your best. Being in sales, there's a lot of overcoming adversity that's necessary to win. You have to have thick skin. You have to be willing to face the danger. You have to be willing to be at a higher frequency than the average Joe or Jill. You have to have a level of energy to be able to be at your best. And Sales Hustle is a frequency that I want you to be when you are with potential prospects, when you're going cold and talking to strangers, all of these things that you do in an appointment with a cold call that you're doing. It's a level of energy that if you go about it in the right way, this sales hustle energy and frequency you can bring into your sales day, you will achieve more opportunity. I hope that you guys are willing to explore what will be called the Sales Hustle Challenge, which will be a weekly commitment, daily disciplines to be successful over a period of time for you to experience what being your best is all about. It's based on a experience that I've been on several times called 75 Hard. It's like a fitness exercise, lots of stuff, but it's really a way to do the daily disciplines and stay focused with a community. That's what's going to be different because the Sales Hustle Challenge will be a community. Right now, we do this call from 10 to 10:30. A lot of content, but I'm going to transition from content to conversations, experience shares, what's working, what's not working, all using the Sales Hustle philosophy, but using CallProof, the app, to help you stay in focus, stay in check with what you want to work on with your sales. We're going to talk about something right now. We're calling this the overcoming your fears. Now, I wrote this not because I'm an expert. Again, I am simply the student in this stuff. And I will tell you my little story about the fear. 1994, I'm a college freshman selling door to door, cell phones. I only went to training to get paid for training. And I was nervous as heck. And I was frightened at knocking on someone's door. So I know what it's like to have that fear. That fear is a natural survival brain function that exists in our world, which is trying to protect us, trying to keep us in the tribe. Back in the day when we were cavemen and women, We did not do anything that would risk danger, right, with our other tribes people because they could kick us out of the club. Because if you did a lot of risky things, guess what? You'd get eaten, right? We don't or have any fear of getting eaten anymore, but the survivor brain is always there trying to create a little bit of fear. And I wanted to talk about those fears with you today. And without further ado, I'd like to get started here. So, several types of fear that exist in your selling day. Number one thing that we do accidentally do, and that is using past sales experience we've had with crappy salespeople and having it influence us in our sales day. Trying to correlate the two is what's a very common thing. You know, another word you can say is when you have had an experience with someone that maybe was super pushy to get you to buy, it will make you not be very pushy because you don't like that experience. But sometimes that selling strategy actually can work in your favor, and it doesn't have to be pushy for pushy's sake. If you are in alignment with what your product is and it provides value to someone, you don't have to feel that pushiness is going to get in your way of. Sometimes you have to reiterate the fact that you provide great value, and you may even have a deadline that may seem like a pushy way of selling, but it's not that way. Just be in the awareness of how you're selling, and is it your selling strategy based on someone else's strategy that you're trying to avoid, right? Another way to look at this is another statement that also happens, and that is selling out of our own pocket, okay? Sometimes we accidentally, subconsciously are selling to someone as if we were the person that they were buying. So we're trying to mimic the persona of the customer, and you're not like the customer, right? You are different. You have a different role. They have different responsibilities, and try not to compare those two together. Be able to recognize a bad sales experience and what you can learn from that, but don't allow that to affect your selling style. Fear of cold calling, so normal. Why is it normal? Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact that you are talking to strangers, right? And we've been taught since we were 2 to not talk to strangers. And that kind of carries over into our own personal or work world from personal world. And yeah, makes sense, right? Don't talk to strangers because stranger danger. No, it's not. You know, we have to, in order to be a great salesperson in any endeavor that we are selling, we're going to have to talk to people that maybe are not even in the mode to talk to us. You know, our app helps people sell door to door to businesses. If you don't have CallProof, you can sign up for a free account for 14 days. It allows you to see people closest to you that you could be selling to. And we have all kinds of businesses. We have millions of businesses preloaded. I don't care if you're selling to plumbing companies. I don't care if you're selling to real estate offices. I don't care who you're selling to. We have the data in the system, make it easy to check in and check out and capture those notes. And so we have salespeople every single day doing the oldest sales habit in the book, and that is talking to strangers, walking into a door, pulling on it, and just saying, hey, my name's Robert. I'm with a company called CallProof. We help sales organizations see more people and get more sales opportunities. Do you have a moment to talk? That question, talking to a stranger into a business that would likely buy your product, getting comfortable with that talking to stranger is the muscle that we are going to work through today. And how do we practice? How do we get better at these things? Other fears, fear of rejection, obviously. That's normal. Like the number one fear that most men face in middle school is what? Asking a girl to the dance or asking a girl to dance with you at the dance. Or you was that guy in the corner, like nobody, you were not dancing. You're just trying to be too cool for school, right? If I would venture to say those, and I can only speak from a male perspective, right? Because that's who I am. But I could imagine that the guys that were asking the girls in middle school probably mastered the sales thing much earlier than I did, because I struggled with the talking to girls that in middle school. But another fear, not meeting or sales quota, right? Sometimes that fear, and sometimes, well, let's back up. Fears have a habit of becoming true when we worry about them. And that's why it's a good practice when you're thinking of some of these fears that you have. It's good to be aware of them and then let them go, let them pass. Because if you obsess about those things, it's not going to help you get where you need to get. And I'm going to be covering some of that later. Another fear, asking for the sale. How often are you not asking? You're not just asking for that opportunity from that customer. It's common. It's something we do every single day. I love this image, right? Because this image is what it feels like when I'm hanging out with some older friends of mine, and they always grab me and they go, because I've been in the phone business for a bunch of years. They grab their phone and go, "Hey, how do I get my Gmail hooked up?" And it's like, oh, geez, really? But a lot of us are resisting the tools that we have, and and CallProof falls in that bucket. I could not tell you how many of my customers tell me, "Well, I don't need to use routes. I already know where my customers are," and I have to continually tell them, "Listen, make time to learn how to use the routes, because when you use the routes, you're going to see more people, and it's going to help you keep up with those people that you need to go see." We are often driving by the best opportunities every single day because we just don't see them, because they don't have a big giant billboard in front of their business. They're in some office park that you pass every single day, and just a few seconds of work in CallProof, clicking one little button, you can find and identify someone that is close by you that you can go see. So the resistance to the using technology is there too. But we got to overcome our fears. And how do we do that? Let's find the source of our fear. Let's figure out, why am I worried, right? Those simple questions often go back to a period of your life where you felt silly, maybe you felt a little stupid, or maybe you just didn't feel good, right? You did a cold call and the person started screaming and hollering and shoving you out the door, and it messed up your whole thought process and even how to talk to strangers. And how are you more resilient to letting those things just go and understanding that this is part of what we do? Part of the philosophy behind the sales hustle is having that resilience and strength and a higher level of frequency, that you just operate in a different way. You operate in a different way than most people. And it will help you with your psyche and how you deal with those, what would be, obstacles or perceived obstacles. But knowing that, how it is for you, and how to look at that feeling, like when we have a fear in us and we just witness it almost like a third party, almost kind of like you're looking at yourself from outside and like just looking at it, but not spending time judging it or thinking about it too much. Just like feel the emotion and just allow it to pass. And how we do that with shifting our perspective and asking yourself questions like, what other fears have I had in the past, and how did I overcome that? And how is this fear very similar than another fear? The fear of talking to a girl in middle school at the middle school dance is very similar to talking to a stranger, going in cold calling into a business to pitch a product. We have all these impressions in our mind that we're bothering someone, and it's just reprogramming. If you know the value of your product and you believe in the value of your product, when you come in, you're not bothering anyone. You're giving them an opportunity to make a decision to explore a new product, a new solution to solve some of their pain. Shifting our perspective, having the enthusiasm for what you do. That is a level of energy. Listen, when I go and talk to someone, I sometimes have to sit in my car and I do breath work sometimes. Sometimes it could be coffee. Sometimes it could be doing a power pose. If you've ever seen the power pose, it is something we can all do. It is a way to gather energy in your being, in your body. And all that is you sit up straight with your back up and you just kind of sit and you're just kind of stretching out your chest. Sometimes you could do it like this. A good 2 minutes exercise of doing that power pose. It's an animalistic level of energy that is generated inside your body that your body will be powered with for a number of minutes after you do that exercise, in hours as well. So energy works with energy. You got to spark it if you want to start it. And energy is what we do every single day. Sales hustle. When you go see a new prospective client, that's what we're doing. We're bringing that energy out. The enthusiasm. Have the enthusiasm, and it will be another level of energy. Now, one thing that I always recommend when you're living in this energy of the sales hustle philosophy or frequency, keeping up with your successes. Keeping up with your successes. When you go and talk to 30 people in a day, door to door, is that possible, Robert? How is that even possible to talk to 30? If you use routes and you've planned ahead, and you have a list of people in a small geographic area, you can absolutely talk to 30 people. Of those 30 people, who got a little warm with you? Who got a little excited? Who booked another meeting with you? Who bought, right? You can put that in your list of successes, okay? Understand, if you are willing to treat your cold visits like you were developing the light bulb and you knew that you had to do 10,000 to maximize and perfect your cold call visit, you would treat every single cold visit with curiosity, and you would treat it with a little bit of scientific mindset where I'm going to try to say this, I'm going to try that, until eventually you figure out what works. But you can't know how to build it right unless you document it like a scientist. So keep up with and track these things. If you saw 30 people today and you only got to have a conversation with 10, what did you talk about with those 10? What words came out of your mouth that made a difference? Track your success, because success always leaves clues. You don't need to recreate the wheel every time you walk in. How do you build a Superman version of yourself? There's a book that I strongly recommend. If you have not read this book, you should read this book if you're in sales. And Donnie talked a little bit about the philosophy around this type of thing. And that is, in all of us, we have someone in us that is actually the superhero, okay? In this superhero version of ourselves, let's use Superman, for instance. And he talks about Superman in this book. You know, Superman and Clark Kent, a lot of people get a little confused. Like, who is the alter ego? Right? A lot of people have this assumption that, oh, Superman is the alter ego of Clark Kent. That's not so, because Superman was born Superman. And he created Clark Kent to fit into normal society. And that's what we tend to do Because we have our own traumas that happen in our lives. We have our own experiences. We kind of, through the years, we make ourselves much smaller, not as powerful, right? And so, how does that show up? Well, because you have an ego that has been through some pain, some trauma, it'll shrink in itself and it will be actually quite fearful of going out and talking to strangers. But if you use some strategies in the book, you can create a superhero version of yourself that you can embody when you need to be stronger. So you can have this moment of putting on a cape and being more superhuman than your normal self. Something to explore, something to consider, and it's called the Alter Ego Effect. Great book. I strongly recommend you guys check it out. Now, obviously, how many times have you heard this? Being comfortable with the uncomfortable. How do you be uncomfortable? Just doing the uncomfortable, doing something uncomfortable. You could just get into practices. Let's say you're going to the store, you're picking up your coffee for the day. I'm going to try to have a conversation with this stranger. Getting into the practice of talking to strangers in your everyday is a beautiful way to start getting uncomfortable. So you aren't always comfortable. Listen, there's no reason just to stay comfortable. That's not exciting. That's not fun, right? The opportunities happen when we start conversations with strangers. It always does. But try to get into your own habits of staying uncomfortable. What could you do to push yourself into the uncomfortable place? But at the end of the day, we're focused on this. What's our end goal? We know that if I talk to many people a day that are in my core audience of people that would likely buy, and I say certain things, I'm going to be able to get to a goal. So what is your end goal? Is your end goal to sell X number, right? Or is your end goal to talk to this number of people in a day? My belief is when you perfect how you talk to people, you have to talk to a lot less people than if you have not been a scientist, you have not studied how to talk to people, and then it's all a volume play. You just got to talk to lots of people. And it's my belief that my time is precious. I really want to lean into getting better at the conversations I plan for. So I'm not having just to play the game of doing lots of shotgun approaches. I'm very targeted in my time and energy that I spend. But again, we always have to have daily disciplines you can never ignore. The more you resist a fear, the more the fear is going to grow. You give fear power when you decide to not do something because of the fear. I remember I had this sales guy. His name was Daniel. I made up his name Daniel because I don't know if his Daniel's watching. I don't want to upset him if he were to watch this, but I hired this guy, great guy. Like, he's the kind of guy you would want to have a beer with and you could talk all night with. He's just relatable, just a normal dude, right? Well, he worked for me about 2 months, not sold jack, had not sold much of anything. I said, listen, come to the office. Let's spend the day together. First half of the day, you know what he did? Oh, he's on his computer. He was working hard. Didn't see or hear him make any phone calls, but then I asked him this question. I said, what you working on? I am planning. Oh, that's great. It's Monday. I'm like, planning was kind of last week to get you going on, but that's okay. I'm going to give you the planning thing. And then the afternoon, it was after lunch. I was like, what you doing? He was fearful. He was fearful of making the call. And so I said, why aren't you making a call? Well, no, it doesn't matter because half the time these people don't answer the phone anyway. So I picked up the phone. I dialed the first number on his list and I scored an appointment. And I wasn't trying to show off, but he was just frightened of doing the action. And we just have to create a discipline and go in it. Face the fear. The more we put the fear on the pedestal and not let it go, we're going to be stuck. We're not going to move forward. As salespeople, what is very common in our minds is our mind is our biggest enemy. Our mind is the one creating the fear, right? Our mind is creating stories that aren't true. But how do we get out of our mind? We use our ears. We listen to customers. What does the customer say? If you're caught up in your mind of, whoa, what am I going to say? You need to be more in tune with what they say to you and react to that. If you've never done improv classes, if you're in sales, I will tell you the best thing you've ever done is go take an improv class. It's super cheap, but it will give you that practice of getting out of our brains, getting out of our minds, and getting more in tune with the customer. You can't do good improv. You can't do good selling if you're not listening. If you're in your mind, you're not going to have a great rapport with anyone. Because think about this for a minute. Think of the last person you interacted with. Think about the experience. If you did all the talking, you come away with thinking that that experience was great. If the other person did all the talking, didn't ask anything about you, you don't think the experience was great. In sales, they matter. You don't matter. In sales, they matter. The customer matters. If you get the customer to talk about themselves, bring up the pain, you have the solution. You're listening and you're interacting with them based on what you are hearing. You want them talking all the time because they're going to walk away with that relationship thinking you are great. Don't talk about how wonderful you are, okay? It's a waste of energy. Talk about how great they are and how you're going to help them with their language is what you're going to use. But you got to listen. So many of us turn off our ears, get into being a great listener. Now, be a mentor and have a mentor. I say this over and over about having a sales buddy, someone that you're sharing your journey with, what's working and what's not working. Also, take the next level as having someone you're teaching that is newer, that is greener, that is less experienced than you. Because you know what happens when we talk to people and we start to use words like, hey, you should. Yeah, have you been one of those you should do X people? Are you one of those should peoples, you know? The beauty of that is a lot of that you should kind of work, we don't even do ourselves, right? And so when we are bringing on a mentee, someone that's new in the business, you're going along with this new sales journey, these are things that you should do. This is what I should. A lot of that is like, well, shoot, I haven't been following up my customers. I have not been following up the appointments that I've ran over the last several weeks. I got to get back on that. So mentorship is the ability for you to act as teacher. But better than acting as teacher is we act as students. You can't be a great teacher without being a great student. And that's what I love about the act of me doing these calls with you is I have to look in the mirror and go, am I doing this right? Am I following my own advice? What can I learn from this experience? Have a mentor, be a mentor. One of the two works excellent. We can never stop learning and growing. And it's about the practice. What we do in getting over your fears, it's through practice. Every time you have a stranger that you pick up the phone and call, it is just practice of feeling and being inside the danger zone until eventually it becomes second nature. You're going after bigger and scarier beasts. You're going after bigger opportunities. And if you need to start small, you're super scared, it's your first week out in the field selling. Get your crappiest leads, the worst prospects, the smallest deals. Practice with those, right? Spend the time and energy on those people first, and then you can graduate into the next level up. But that is my time today with you guys. If you guys need any support from me or the team, you can reach me at robert@callproof.com. Or if you got a question with support, you want to get on with CallProof, you want to really understand how you can leverage our tools better. A lot of people don't realize this. We have a team of people that want to see you successful, right? If you have been out of practice, and let's say your database is not even, maybe it's a little messy, like your room in high school, it was just kind of cluttered, right? You remember when you clean up your room or clean up your office, and I can't speak to my office because it's a total wreck, but once you clean it up, you kind of have some more clarity. Same with your data and CallProof. We do work with our customers to help reinvigorate the data, make sure it's current. Let's get rid of leads that are old, that are dead. Let's delete and add new. Let's create a new process. Maybe you want to get on a Zoom with our team to reteach the team, to get them back and energized on using the daily disciplines of selling, using CallProof, and using a system. We are here to help. We are here to share the energy of the Sales Hustle Challenge, which will be coming in April. If you have any interest, will be some emails from the team out to you to get you guys engaged. That's what I have today. Go out there and be your best. Try your hardest. Let those fears go and face the danger today. Thanks, guys, and have a great rest